Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here on This Is Just the Beginning. I hope you're well, and I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've recorded an episode, but I'm back here now. It's been a very busy month, and I say that every time I come on because I'm still trying to prioritise my podcast, as I've said before, but it's been very hectic in my life right now. I can't believe it's May. It's month 5 of the year, and it feels like February still. I don't know, but I feel like I've accomplished a lot in the last 5 months, and this is something that I'm going to touch on briefly before I get into the episode. And as you've seen from the episode title, it's all about doing it for yourself, embracing independence, throw away those expectations that you think people have of you and everything to do with that. So we'll get into that in just a second. But the first piece of news is, I think I said this in my last episode though, is I finished therapy, and I started therapy back in, I think around September or October. So about 6 months, well more than that actually, but more or less 6 months of therapy. And it really, really did help me in a way I didn't think it would, because as I said before, I was very skeptical about therapy, and I was like, I know how to do it on my own, I know how to embrace self-discovery and all those things, but I've been finding it harder recently to do that, and it's made me become so much more aware of myself, in touch with myself. My self-worth has shot up, and that has helped having a very stable relationship right now. But it's all down to me and all the work that I do, and that couldn't have made me more happier and proud of myself. And it's something that I do encourage you to do. If you're feeling a little bit lost on your self-discovery journey, try a couple sessions of therapy. You never know, it does help you kind of just realign yourself, realign your focus a little bit more with what you want, instead of just focusing on, I don't know, if you're in ED recovery, something which I really struggled with was, I can only focus on healing my relationship with food and exercise. After that initial stage of building up my foundation with myself, self-love, all of that. But then I lost touch of all of that, and I was just focusing on challenging food every day and not doing a workout, but then still trying to be healthy. And now for the first time, I'm actually in a place where I'm not thinking about my health and wellness journey in terms of food and exercise. I'm focusing on everything else. Of course, I'm still being mindful of how much I'm doing, how much I'm eating, those kind of things. But that's not my main priority. My main priority is succeeding and doing the things that I want to do in life. And that starts now, basically. And this is what today's episode is all about. The inspiration from this episode is the fact that, and this is very big news, I have just been offered a brand new job, a different company, for a role which I'm so excited for. I'm not going to say too much about it, but I'll tell you the role. The role is, officially, it's German language executive. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, when I was back at uni, I was studying German and Spanish, as well as linguistics. And this job came up at one of my favourite brands ever. And I thought, I may as well apply for it. And I've got the job. And it's a very, very interesting job. And as much as I'm going to miss doing more social media and content creation, I'm doing that with you guys anyway. I'm doing it in my own personal time. So maybe it'll be a breath of fresh air, because if you follow my Instagram pages, all of that, you may have noticed that I'm posting a little bit less these days because it's so busy at work, and I do all these graphics all day for work, then I don't want to then do it for my own channel. So obviously, because work comes first, so it's been a little bit draining recently. But maybe with this new job, I'm going to focus more on my own account, and I can grow that. After work, I won't be so drained from social media, I guess, is the best way to look at it, because I'm doing more influencer marketing, which sure, I'm going to spend a lot of time scrolling again, but I won't be making graphics or doing content, which is something that I love doing, but I can still do that, and I'll have more inspiration behind the scenes with my own brand, I guess. So if you've seen today's reel that I put out, the text over the top of the video says this quote, and this is the quote I'm kind of going on for the episode today. The quote is, "The best thing I've learned in my 20 years on this planet is do it for yourself. Don't do it for anyone else. Live your life your own way." And this is so important, and I've touched on this multiple times, but I don't think I've ever dedicated a whole episode to it. But what I've learned recently is that you cannot be, adhering to all the expectations and the rules of society, because you're never going to be happy. And that's something that, again, I've learned heavily through therapy. And if you've heard of limiting beliefs, all of those things, it's kind of those beliefs that you've kind of made up on your own with influence from parents, society, and they're things that you've always believed in, and just expectations you have of yourself and of other people, and judgment and that kind of thing. I don't think I'm explaining that right, but I think you know what I mean. If not, Google limiting beliefs. There'll be a much clearer explanation on that. but I've been working with my therapist with my limiting beliefs about certain expectations. I'm not going to run through them. I mean, I do actually have them pinned up on my wall next to me, but if you've done that kind of practice before, you'll know what I'm on about. If not, just look it up. It'll be more obvious. Ask ChatGPT or whatever software you use, just ask someone else. But yeah, and it's all about forgetting those expectations, or not forgetting them, doing the work to rewrite your narrative, rewrite the beliefs you have, the expectations you have for yourself. Because a lot of the time, the expectations that we think other people have of us are actually the ones that we have made up that other people think of us. You know, it's like we think, oh, that person's judging me. No, you think that person's judging you. If you know what I mean, like you're expecting them to do that, and the expectations that you have on you are the ones that you think other people have, but you just made it up in your mind, and they possibly don't think that. For example, I have always kind of thought myself as, my friends think of me as the slag of our friendship group. You know, I'm the one that has like talked to more boys, got with more boys, slept with more boys, whatever you want to kind of say about that. And my other friends haven't, but that doesn't make me a slag, and that doesn't make me like the bitch of the group or anything, but that's the expectation I think that they have of me. And I had a really deep conversation with my best friend not long ago about this, and she was like, I've never thought that. Why do you think I think that? Like, we're just different. Like, I don't really go out and you go out all the time. Like, it's just different. I'm not, like, I've never thought that about you. So I've always had this persona where, and I have said this example before, but I'll say it again, but I've been, since I was like 14, I think, I've had this expectation that I'm the party girl, I'm the one that gets with the guys on a night out, I'm the one that might not come home after a night out, you know, like I've had this persona of me and I've lived up to it. And earlier in the year, and I've said this before, I thought I was the one that could do that. And when I broke up with my boyfriend, or my ex-boyfriend now, not the one I currently have, don't worry, we're not broken up, God no, but with my ex, straight after that I thought, right, let's go back to that party animal mode, the kind of slag persona, and I hated it. I mean, the first like month of it, I loved it because, you know, post breakup, I was loving life basically. I just needed to get out of my own head, just get with someone else was my plan basically. I didn't care who it was, and it worked, and then it didn't work at the same time. There was a lot of drama with a particular someone, but I'm not going to name names on here in case they're listening, but there was a lot of drama with one. And after that I realised, no, I don't want to do that. I don't like the drama. I don't like the fact that they can catch feelings and you feel like an absolute dick for saying no. You know what I mean? Not saying no in that context, but as in saying no to them catching feelings. I'm not, yeah, I know what I mean, but yeah, I hated it basically, and I couldn't do it because I downloaded Tinder and Hinge, and I started going out with a few people, and then eventually, I mean, I met my boyfriend now through Tinder as well, which was crazy because all the other ones just wanted to sleep with me, which I did a couple, but I was like, you know what, I can't really do that, and I hated it. I genuinely hated it. And then that's when I learned, or like I tried to like realize, why am I doing this? And I was like, oh, because this is what people would assume I do when I'm single, because I've always done that. But now I'm like, no. And it's all about these limiting beliefs and those expectations that people have of you. So this whole do it for yourself attitude is exceeding beyond these social, societal boundaries and the expectations made up by who? Basically, it's made up by, is it society? Is it you? Is it your parents? Is it your friends? Is it the people you hang out with? Most of the time, it will be made up by you because you think that that's what you should do. But obviously, the society influences it heavily. I mean, for example, with the ideal body type of a woman, one year it's this, the next year it's that. And, you know, if you listen to it, it's going to be a very hellish ride if you don't learn to love yourself the way you are, not just your body, with whatever it is that you think you should be, whether it's the hustle culture when you should be working 8 to 8 every day and never stop working and being so productive, and that kind of thing is a huge expectation right now for people in their 20s, especially in their young 20s, to be working all the time to get a 6-digit salary very, very quickly by their like mid-20s and stuff. I'm like, you can't do that. It's so, I mean, some people do, and you know, I'm a bit jealous of the people that do, and they do put in the hard work, but not everyone is built for that. So why would you live up to that expectation if that's not really you and that's not what you want to do? And so this whole attitude that I have now is, I mean, I have a dilemma because at my current job, I'm not going to say too much about the brand obviously, but at my current job, I love working there. You know, it's my first proper like professional for a brand social media job kind of thing. And I have loved working there, and I've learned so many things whilst I've been there, but the environment is just not what I really like. It's not my favourite kind of thing. So when I started applying to jobs, I was just doing it because, you know, like I'm on quite a low salary at the moment, and not low, I can't really say low, but I want to be earning more. So I'm like, I'll just apply to things to see what I can get, see what, you know, like see if anyone does want me, even though I don't have the most experience and I'm only 20 years old, that kind of thing. But then this job came up with a brand that I love so much, and I've always been a consumer for this brand. It's incredible, basically. And by the way, like, I'm not saying the brand because I'm not allowed to, but I'm just saying it because I don't really want you to know where I'm working or what I'm doing. But yeah, anyway, with this brand, like, this job came up and I was like, actually, no, my boyfriend found the job because he's in the same field as me, but he's more in marketing. So we're both looking for a job together at the moment because he has just left his current job as well. And he didn't have a job lined up in the background. So we both have been looking and applying together, which has been really fun actually. And we've been applying to pretty much the exact same jobs because he's very sporty as well, as I've said before. So we've been applying to very similar jobs, and we both applied. There was an athlete executive and then a German athlete executive role. I applied to both. He applied to just the athlete one. Then I got, the application thing was so weird. Like, I got an email saying for both that I'm through to like the next stage, but then they narrowed it down to just the German one because obviously there's less applicants for that. But I have the job anyway. And it's been I literally heard this morning that I had the job, and it is this really hard decision making. And that's why it is so hard when you're in the do it for yourself attitude, because you think, it is also like, what's this person going to think of me? What's this person? Because my current line manager, I really do like. She is a bit bipolar from time to time, and her management style is a bit up in the air, but I do really like her, and I just feel really bad that I'm leaving, you know, and I've not actually handed in my resignation yet. I'm going to do that this afternoon, as it's something that I want to do before the bank holiday. But I'm kind of scared for that because I don't want to have a huge meeting about it. Like, I'm literally in the letter saying I am leaving on this day. That's it. And I think that's what, you know, you have to do. You have to be so direct with people, telling them what you want and what you are doing. Don't let people persuade you or kind of exert you into doing what they want to do when you don't want to stay there or you don't want to do that thing. And this happens in so many scenarios. But anyway, this decision making it is hard. And it will always be hard, but I know that this new job is what I need to do in order to progress my career, you know, like start a new thing and get out of the job I'm currently in. And this one's got so much more potential, I feel like, and it's a role that is purely me. Like, I'm the only German speaking one in the company now, and that is really cool because, I mean, in my current job, I don't really use my languages that much. I mean, one of our partner companies is a Spanish brand, but I'm still not using it that much. So that's why I do want to use my languages. It's not to waste. And hey, here's the thing for you right now. I didn't finish university. I got 2/3 of the way through and then I dropped out. I'm still getting jobs. And maybe that's something for you to think about if maybe you've recently dropped out of uni. Because, I mean, it's been a year since I dropped out, which is crazy. It's been over a year by like a week, which is crazy. And look at what happened so far. I've got 2 big jobs, like huge jobs that I love. And you might be thinking, well, oh, you're in social media. Maybe that's easier. Like an easier job to get. Maybe it is, sure. Like, I'm not expecting you to get a job in finance if you haven't done accounting or economics at university. I know that. But, you know, it's not the be all and end all. If you're hating university or you never went to university, college, whatever you want to say, like, it's not the be all and end all. You know, you can do so many other things in life. And I'm an example of that. So on the back of that is the idea of resilience and overcoming adversity. And this does relate a lot to the quote and the episode title of doing it for yourself and no one else. During this journey, you're going to hit a lot of setbacks. And I have, you know, like when I was first applying to jobs, I was hearing back from nowhere and I was thinking, I'm never going to get a job and I'm just going to be dossing around at home for like a year, which was on the cards as well because, you know, it has been a mental health break year, but it's turned out to be a career pursuing year, which is even better. But you will, I'm not really explaining much about the adversity here, it's all positive, but you are going to face setbacks. I mean, I know how hard it is when you're applying to jobs and you're not hearing back from them and you're applying to like 30, 40, 50 jobs and it's just so draining because, you know, the cover letters are always the same and the application is always so long and you don't want to do it anymore. but the more hard work you put in, you'll get a better result. But again, I know how hard it is to apply to jobs. It's so annoying, especially when you know you have like loads of experience and you're like, I'd be a good fit for this job, for that job, and you don't hear back. It's so, what's the word, like soul crushing. You know, you're like, am I really worth it? And your self-worth does get depleted a bit. But just remember that there's so many people who are applying to this job, and there's a reason why you didn't get chosen for an interview or you didn't get past the interview stage. There's always a reason, and don't be so hard on yourself. Maybe they're looking for a man, not a woman, or a woman, not a man, or you never know. Maybe they're looking for someone who with that just a bit different experience. You know, you never know what's going through the employer's mind, is what I'm trying to say there. But you still build up this kind of resilience with every job you get, I don't want to say rejected, but you don't hear back from. You know, like you build up this like thicker layer of skin, but then when you do get a job or you do get an interview, that sense of like empowerment you get, and I'm actually going to do this, and it all comes into the whole role of, you know, like I don't want to say manifesting, but yeah, manifesting, and more of the sense of the positive mindset, you know, and it's about knowing what you want and going for it and making sure you're doing everything you can to make it happen. And that's so important to do, and it's something that I've learned very recently. In fact, no, I've been doing the whole manifesting thing for quite a few years now, but I've been really trying to work it out in the fact that no, it's not just about writing lines about, hey, I want this job over and over again. I mean, it helps if that's the person you want to be and that's how you do it, and I have done that and it has worked. I mean, with Taylor Swift tickets, that's the way I did it, and it worked. It did work, and I'm so honestly, when that happened, I was like, does manifestation actually work, or is this like the lucky girl syndrome thing? Because that's when the trend was in with that. I was like, this is crazy to me. But I've kind of changed it into manifestation in the sense of having a positive mindset and not having that negative thing of, oh, I'm never going to find a job and stuff like that. Again, I always say this, just switch your mindset into positive thinking. And that is when the manifestation comes in as well. You're like, I am going to get this job. I am going to be successful. I am going to earn X, Y, Z. I am going to live in this city. And again, vision boards help with that. It's all about connecting to this mindfulness state. And if you're here listening to this podcast, I assume you're not kind of laughing at this and going, well, that never works, because I assume you are on your self-discovery journey. So I really doubt that you are laughing at this and you are kind of agreeing with it. I know manifestation is something that is a bit marmitey, if you get what I mean, but it is something that is worth trying, you know, and it's not about just trying it once to see if you can get those concert tickets. I'm not saying that. It is about the manifestation in terms of the positive mindset is all I really have to say about that. Another thing that has really worked with me for this kind of thing is finding your inner peace. And I don't know what I mean by that. And it's really hard to explain what inner peace is, but it's about finding that kind of feeling inside you that you've made it. Or not even that you've made it, that you've made it on your self-discovery journey. I don't mean with a job or your career or money or whatever, but more like, okay, I'm in a good place now. That's what inner peace feels like to me, and that's what I feel at the moment. You know, I'm doing very well in my career, and I've got a great boyfriend. I'm still living at home, like I don't have any financial worries, and I am in a very good place. And as I've said, I'm kind of in that post-recovery mindset as well. And it's just, I'm in such a good place, and this is what the inner peace feeling is. And Neela, if you're listening to this, I bet you're crying right now. We're being like, I'm so proud of you. I guarantee that, because you've told me all the time to kind of focus on your inner peace and build it up. And it's just about when you realize that, when you wake up one morning and you're like, wow, I'm actually in a good place. And that's how I felt the last couple months, really. I mean, since I met my boyfriend, I guess, and he has been a big part of that. But as I've said, I've done it completely on my own at the same time. Going back to the idea of the resilience, near adversity, overcoming, it is all about embracing failure. You know, like as I've said, like I hate the word failure, and I've said this before. I hate the word failure. It's you haven't failed, it's lessons learned, and mistakes are just lessons. And I know you've heard that so many times, not from me, but from everyone, you know. So it is all about, though, just embracing it and saying, hey, this is a setback, but I'm strong and I will get through this. I've had setbacks before. It's the same thing when you're going through a breakdown and stuff like that, where you think it's the worst one you've ever had, but it's about reminding yourself that, hey, I've done this before. Yeah, maybe this feels a little bit worse than last time, but I'll get through it. I always get through it. And as soon as you recognize that, the sooner you will heal from that breakdown or whatever it is. I'm not saying you will heal overnight. That is not the case. And as you've seen with my recovery journey or my self-love journey, it's taken years. And for someone who maybe you're just starting out in this journey and you hear that and you think, God, what's the point? The point is about finding this inner peace. And all the while you are still building up your self-confidence. And that feeling when you finally realize how confident you are, I don't just mean in everyday life, walking into a shop or, you look great in a good outfit, you're so confident in that aspect. No, I'm on about in terms of in yourself, you're confident. You have this self-belief, this self-worth that you can go and do anything. And I feel like I felt this a lot with my boyfriend as well. I felt that quite a lot. And also when I'm at work, even then, like before this whole job thing now, when I've been at work over the last few months, I sit there and go, I'm actually good at my job. Okay, some days I struggle and some days my boss is shouting at me saying, why have you not done this? And this looks shit, you need to change it. But that is just because she gives me a hard time sometimes. We're all hormonal from time to time, and that's the only thing I can think of. Apart from, sometimes my work isn't the best, because you try staring at graphics all day and trying to come up with beautiful designs every single day. It is hard, which is why I'm glad I'm kind of stepping away from that for the time being. But anyway, it is about just building up your self-confidence, hon. And it's such a good feeling when you finally get there. Of course, you are still going to have those bad days. And I'm not saying that this journey is all about getting to a point where you have no more bad days. God, no, I still have my bad days. I phoned my boyfriend at midnight last night crying. About what? I don't know. But I was upset and I just wanted to hear him. He was just about to go to sleep and I was like, no, I need to speak to you for half an hour. An hour later, we went to sleep. The last thing I kind of want to say on this topic is kind of the same as the self-confidence, but the feeling of independence and learning to be okay on your own. And this whole idea of alone time is something that still scares me. As I'm always around people, I'm always, I'm at home with my parents, or on a weekend I'm with my boyfriend, or I'm with my sister, or back at uni with my friends, and even that is overwhelming. And sometimes I really find it hard to find that balance. So those days where, I'm working from home, I really like to just stay in my room, and even though I don't have any meetings, that is kind of my self-care time in terms of alone time, even though I know I'm working and that's being productive and that's not really self-care, but it is still me focusing on what I've got in front of me, embracing the now, being in the present, all of those things that I talk about so much on my blog. So if you've not been over to my blog in a while, it's pepetoebyelena, and I'll leave it in the show notes, but go over there, and also my Instagram, pepetoebyelena. I will leave that in the show notes as well. That's a little self-promo for you, but if you want to kind of read in more detail, or literally everything I talk about, head over to my blog or even my Instagram, and it's all on there, and you'll read so many really inspiring articles. I think I am blowing my own horn right now, but I think it is very inspiring for people. And even now when I have bad days, I sometimes go back on my blog to some older posts and just read them through and think, okay, Ellie, you have written this. Why don't you believe in it right now? Because you don't want to be a hypocrite. So read it and actually make it happen. And that does usually inspire me. So I do urge you to go over there. Or if you don't want to read my blog, find another blog or find another Instagram account that you really connect with. But I'm going to kind of wrap it up here. I know it's a bit of a shorter episode today, but I don't want to repeat myself because this is the topic that I could repeat myself so much on. But to kind of sum up, I think it's about time, if you've never done this before, which I don't think you have, to be honest, do it for yourself. If you're in a job that your parents put you in, or, that really aligned with your degree that you did, and you hate it, or you don't hate it, but you just think you're a bit lost and you don't really enjoy it as much as you did at the start and stuff, you can start again. You can still, you can still go back to uni when you're 30 years old. You can choose a different career. You can train. You can drop out completely. You can go on a sabbatical, whatever you want to do, whatever is your calling. And if you don't know what your calling is, now is the time to find it. Now is the time to, if it's with careers and jobs, scroll on LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, scroll all day and just try and find something you want to do until you connect with it. But sometimes you need more kind of hands-on experience. So just go out there in the world. Like, a great idea that I had is just go to your local town, go on your local high street, just have a walk around and kind of look at people and look at what they're doing. I don't know, it sounds a bit weird to just stare at people, but if you start to think, oh, what's that person doing? What's this person doing? You might come up with a whole scenario that, if you see this man sat having lunch on his own, he's got his laptop in front of him, you think, oh, what is he doing? then you have this idea, and then you work out that you're actually making up that career for you. I've done that before. I did that with the job I have now, and that was a couple of years ago, and I made it happen. And suddenly you realise you're not talking about someone else, you're talking about you and what you want to do. That is quite a good practice to do. It's a bit weird, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you go here, ending on that very weird note, but try it. If you're a bit lost right now, go and try it. You never know. But yeah, I'll leave my blog and my Instagram in the show notes, and have a lovely bank holiday if you're in the UK, and I will speak to you next week. I mean, I say that now, but I promise to speak to you next week. I will hold myself accountable. Again, which is another thing, but I'm not going to go on. Accountability is huge with this. Even get someone to hold you accountable as well. I mean, I found that quite useful in therapy. It wasn't like, I'm going to hold you accountable to what you said. No, but just having that kind of voice saying, have you done what you said that you do last week? And you go, no, when you feel a bit, oh, I should have done that. It is good to have accountability from someone else as well, but make sure you have it for yourself. So anyway, on that note, have a lovely day, and I'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.